Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on the gorgeous purl stitch for the Tunisian square. Now we are actually working on 4 Tunisian squares for this project. 1, 2, 3, let's do it this way. It's 1, 2, 3 and 4. All right, but this is the first stitch we worked on, which was the simple stitch. This is the knit stitch, which is extremely tight, but we'll, wash and block that, so don't worry too much about it. And this was the purl stitch, and I have to say this is my favorite because it doesn't curl. And I think it has a lot to do with, and I could be wrong, that the yarn is worked one way and then brought back the other way. I don't know, but it seems to be the only one that hasn't curled so far. Not because we're getting better at it by any means, it's the actual nature of Tunisian. Tunisian does tend to curl. All right, but anyway, moving right along, today's colour combination that you see here was chosen by the lovely Anne McC. Now, Anne chose these colours during live Antics on one of our lives. We usually have a live on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. Marry that up with your country. And we also have another live at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons. Once again, Melbourne, Australia time, and marry that up with your country. But on Saturday mornings live at 10 a.m, one lucky subscriber on the live, which, we have a little hat, we pull out the names from a hat, and that particular subscriber gets to choose a colour combination of our next tutorial. It's very, very exciting. All right, so in moving right along, what you will need today is 8-ply DK weight or a 3-weight cotton. If you're using an Aran weight or a 4-weight or a 10-ply cotton, do the same for all your squares. So whatever weight yarn you use exactly the same, all right? It doesn't have to be cotton, it doesn't have to be, 8-ply, it can be what you want. Just use the same for all 4 squares, the same weight. All right, now this piece here took me only 6 grams. You might need 7 grams, doesn't matter. A lot, tiny little bit of yarn you'll need. That's about all. That's what I'm loving about the squares. And the hook that I used using the 8-ply or the DK weight or the 3-weight cotton was a 4mm hook. Make sure you are using a round hook like this, not a hook with a big handle, because you won't be able to fit all 20 stitches on. So if you haven't done Tunisian crochet, you need a long hook. Or actually, you know what I will do? I'll show you the original Tunisian hook, where it's a normal hook and it's a pretty long hook, and it's got like a thing at the end here, like a stopper really, so you can pop all your stitches on. So if I wanted to make, this is a really big hook, it doesn't even fit in the screen, check it out. If I wanted to make a jumper or a cardigan or a blanket or something, I would not use this hook. I would use this one, she says, as she's thinking, what is she talking about? I would use something like this. It's an interchangeable hook, this one. So it's a hook with a little tip on the end. You marry it up with the other tip of that, and you have this really long piece of plastic or whatever it is, and you pass your Tunisian stitches all the way on to this long piece, and you can make a blanket or you can make a sweater or a cardigan or whatever. But that is what Tunisian is all about. You don't have to purchase these items for our tutorials because we are only making a placemat for our tutorials. I did want to show you the originals though. I bought them years ago when I thought I was going to make thousands of projects in Tunisian, but I really haven't made any. I've made little things, little tiny squares, little things, so I really didn't need that. I could have used a smaller hook. So if you've got a hook like this in stock, it's just round or, it's metal, plastic, whatever, you can use this hook. So there you go. All right, so hook, you know what you're doing. You don't need a sewing needle because we are not sewing our ends in. You can, if you want, sew your ends in, but you will need a scissors to cut your threads. You are making the 3 squares for the big project, but for today's project, we are doing the purl stitch in Tunisian colour combination chosen by the lovely Anne McC. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to let you head off on your own creating the Tunisian purl stitch. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, to start with we need to make a slip knot. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Make sure you give yourself a long enough tail for weaving in next week. So we're going to grab our back loop and pass it halfway over our finger, hold it there. We're going to grab the other loop, pass it all the way over, pop your hook in that loop right there and just give it a tug. All right, so now we are going to chain 20. All our squares consist of a chain 20. Unless you are making it just for practice purposes, then you can chain whatever you like, but chaining 20 is what we're doing for our squares. All right, so yarn over our hook, pull a loop through to the loop on your hook, 1. Don't do these loops too tight. That's chain 1, yeah? Yarn over, chain 2. Yarn over, chain 3, 4, and 5. All right, so you are going to chain 20. I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. 6, 19 and 20. All right, so now you have a little set of chains. I'm going to give you a close-up so you can see that better. All right, this is where we are. We turn our work and the very first bump you see is right there. You pop your hook in that bump, pull up a loop, hold it there. Don't make them too tall with the stitch. Don't make them too small either, or you will end up with really tight stitches, and you don't need tight stitches for this. You need nice loose stitches, yeah? Once again, you're going into the next bump right there. Pop your hook in, pull up your loop, yeah? Next bump, hook in, pull up a loop. Now, if you did these stitches too tight, you would struggle here, okay? Hook in, pull up a loop. Hook in, pull up a loop. And you're doing that all the way across, all right? I'm going to pop this on fast until we get to the last stitch down there, and I will meet you there once you're done, and off we go. Second last stitch now, and 20 in this very last for me tight stitch. Don't do them so tight, guys, and pull up that loop. Make sure that you count your stitches across. You need 20, so 20 loops. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. All right, so make sure you count your 20. If you haven't done 20, just check to see where you went wrong. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a return pass, and that is always chaining 1 at the end of the row. Let's just bring this up a little. Yeah, you are chaining 1 at the end of the row like so. Chain 1, that's it for now. And then you're doing yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So yarn over, pull through 2, and that's what you're doing all the way across. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you are doing that all the way across your row. And I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. Yarn over, pull through the last 2, second last 2, and yarn over, pull through your last 2. And there it is. Now I'm going to find that this is getting too loose. So don't make that first stitch too loose. And when you get down here, it starts going really tight. Don't make them too tight. Try to be consistent throughout your piece, yeah? So what we're going to do now is we're going to start the purl stitch. This, what we've done here, this is called the foundation row in Tunisian crochet. All right, so now we are going to start our purl stitch, and I'll just get you a real close up. In normal crochet, we go yarn over our hook and we go for it. In the purl stitch of Tunisian, you're putting your yarn over your hook the other way. I like to call it backwards, or go back. All right, so yarn back, hold it, pop your hook under the first bar, right there. Drop that thread, hold it, yarn over your hook, pull through one. It can be a little tricky, but it's practice, okay? So yarn backwards, hold it, yarn into the next bar, drop your loop, hold it, yarn over your hook, pull through one. Now if you don't hold that thread, this stitch will be too tight. It's already come across a little tight, so be careful. Backwards, hold, yarn into the bar, drop it, hold it, yarn over your hook, pull through one. Yeah, doesn't matter if it looks a little loose here, later it will show that it's really tight when you're doing your next row. So backwards, hold, bar, drop, hold, yarn over your hook, pull through one. We'll do it nice and slowly. Backwards, hold, hook into the bar, drop it, hold, yarn over your hook, pull through one. Backwards, hold, hook into the bar, drop it, hold, yarn over your hook, pull through one. Now I said that real fast because if that pulled really tight, your stitch will be tight and it'll be too tight for your next row. So backwards, into the bar, drop it, hold before it pulls over too much, yarn over your hook, pull through one. All right, so that is pretty much it all the way across your piece. Can be a little tricky, but you know, whoops. Oh, I see I nearly did a forward and backwards. It's very easy to do, yeah? Very easy to make that mistake. We're so used to doing it forwards that we forget, yeah? Through one. This to me seems a little tricky, the stitch, but I have to admit, I love the purl stitch in Tunisian. Seems more work than the other ones we've done so far, but I do love the purl stitch. There's something about it. I think it's just because it looks like a normal purl stitch in knitting. We're nearly there, guys, nearly there. And when you get closer, it'll look like you've only got one and then the stitch there, but you haven't. Give it a stretch. You see 1, 2, and then the stitch. So be careful, yeah? So into that bar. Yarn over, pull through one, and bar on your second last one, drop it, yarn over, pull through one. And for here, for the very last stitch, you're not doing anything. You're doing your normal stitch or hook into the bigger loop and then the back part of that smaller loop there. It's actually the stitch itself. And then you pull your loop through like normal. So that hasn't changed at all. Now counting your stitches across, you should still have 20. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. It would have benefited for me to count one at a time. But anyway, so make sure you have your 20 loops all the way across. Yeah. Grabbing your thread here. And you are going to pull through like normal. First you're going to chain 1, pull it through, yeah? Now this is your return pass. It's the same all the way through this tutorial. So yarn over your hook, pull through 2, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2. All right, continue that all the way through and I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. Second last 2 and the last 2. All right, so you will notice already that that first loop was really loose and the next one's starting to straighten up for me. All right, so being careful with that first stitch, that will happen, yeah? And you're starting to see the purl look on your work, All right, so that is your first purl row. So now we are going to do a second row. So when I say first row, when you go forward pass, return pass, that's classified as one row. Now we've already done that with the foundation row. So the very first row we did, and I got you to count your stitches before we started the purl stitch, that was a foundation row. We went across that way, we came back with our return pass, that was a foundation row. Now we've done our purl forward pass and then return pass, that's the second row. So it's actually the first row of the purl stitch, but the second row of our work. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking me, I'm confused with when you say 14 rows, how many rows you mean, or 12 rows, how many rows you mean, and I'll explain that to you in a moment, okay, once we're ready to head off and make our rows. All right, so we're not ready yet. We're going to do this row one last time, okay? So remember, you are popping your yarn back or away from you, yeah? Into the first bar, drop your loop, hold it, yarn over your hook, pull it through. Keep it loose because that will tighten up. And you can see now when you're going into your bars how much space I have from the top to the base of the bar. Whereas if you've done yours real tight, your bar will look like that and you won't be able to get into it, all right? So back, hold, bar, drop, hold, yarn over your hook and pull through one. Backwards, hold, bar, drop, hold, yarn over your hook, pull through one. I've done this one a little too tight, be careful, yeah? Backwards, hold, that's better. Pop your hook in the bar, drop it, hold, yarn over your hook, pull through one. All right, it's pretty much that all the way through your row, yeah? All right, so I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. All right, actually I'm on my second last stitch there and then the last stitch. So once again, backwards, bar, drop, hold, pull through one. And when you get to your very last stitch, you are just doing your stitch like normal, the front loop and that back loop there, yarn over, pull through there. All right, count your stitches across. Once again, you should still have 20, chaining one, and then return pass like normal. Yarn over your hook, pull through two, yarn over, two, yarn over, two, and let's pop this on fast and off we go. Two, and the last two, and there you have it. All right, so what you, oh, that didn't work, bring that up, that's better. What you have now is simply that. All right, when you look at it, you see the two bars going across. Now you're going to see those bars all the way across when you do your rows. Now this is where someone said to me, when you get us to head off on our own, you say do another 10 rows or another 12 rows, what do you mean? All right, so when you do your purl stitch all the way across for the forward pass, you chain one, you turn and you do your return pass. That is one row. Then you do it again, forward, chain one, return, second row, and third and fourth and fifth. Now we've already done 2 rows here. We've got our foundation row as well. So that's classified as 3. So really all you would need to do is either another 10 rows, 11 rows, or 12 rows. But the reason I say that is because what you are counting is your side loops. That's 1, 2 and 3. We need to be able to count 14 across, so what we need now is 11 rows. All right, so you need another 11 rows. If you do 12 rows, you've got one extra, don't worry, we can work around it. If you do 10 rows and you have one less, we can also work around that. Just know that if you did one less row in some of your other stitches that we've done, they may not marry up at the end, but we can add those stitches afterwards to make your 4 pieces match. So if you had to think about it, you really only need to do another 11. So half, 1 row, half, 2 rows, half, 3, all the way up to 11. All right, you've already done your 3 here, so you need another 11 rows. Okay, I hope that made sense. I think I've been saying 12 to everyone, so if you've all got 1 row extra, don't worry, we can work around that. All right, so don't stress if you have 1 row extra or 1 row less, it doesn't matter, we can work around that later. What I want you to do for now is head off on your own, do the amount of rows you need to make 14 stitches across this way. Yeah, and then meet me back here and we will do a final row and cast off. So that's easy. What I want you to do, there's the time up there now, is to repeat the forward pass and the return pass until you make those 14 stitches along here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, until you make the 14 all the way across, and you're counting those little V's, 1V, 2V, 3V's, yeah. Once you make your 14 all the way across, meet me back here and we will talk about what we're going to do next. There's the time you need to go to, and I'll catch you soon. Alrighty guys, how did you go? Look at that, isn't it simply divine? It really looks like the purl stitch in knitting. Let's get a close-up. There we go. Really looks like the purl stitch in knitting, doesn't it? I love it. I actually do like this look a lot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a row of casting off. You should be at this side. If you're not at this side, come to this side, all right? Now let's cast off. Now casting off, ending, whatever you want to call it, it's the final row of your work and you are going to close off the stitches. You're still going to do your purl stitch exactly the same. So it's facing away from you, yes, making sure you're not missing that first stitch. You pop your hand on your work, you pop it under the first bar of the stitch, yep, and then you drop your yarn again. You know how to do this because you've done all your rows, but we're going to pop our yarn over our hook like normal and pull it through to that loop like normal. But now we're going to pull it through to the loop on the hook. So still holding everything, pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now make sure you don't do these stitches too tight, all right? And you're going to continue that all the way across. So back, yeah, pop your hook under your bar, drop your yarn over your hook like normal, pull it through to the stitch like normal, and then pull it through to the loop on your hook. You have now cast off 2 stitches. So we're going to do it again. Back, hold it there, find your bar, drop it, normal loop over and pull through, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. I almost grabbed a thread then. And that's your 3rd stitch. Again, back into the bar, drop your thread, you're holding it, yarn over like normal, pull through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. All right, I'll just move a little bit over. Okay, so back into the bar, drop, yarn over like normal, pull through and pull through. All right, so I'm just doing it quicker now. Over, in, drop, yarn over, pull through and pull through. All right, so continue to do that all the way across. Alrighty guys, how did you go? I had a few problems only because I pulled a loop here before. I pulled a loop here before, and so there were my problems. But anyway, first world problems, it's moving right along. I still have one more bar here, so we're going to do our last one. And then, once again, all you're doing is popping your hook in your last stitch, pull that loop through, pull up a loop, make sure it is all correct, yeah? And mine's pulling all over the place. So make sure it's all correct, yeah? Grab your little scissors and off you go cutting that. And now your piece is done. All right, so let me quickly talk to you about how we're counting our stitches along the sides. You know you've got 20 this way, you know you've got 20 that way because we started with 20 and we ended with 20. But the ones on the side, now if you look carefully on it, this is the bonus with Tunisian. Tunisian is a sort of stitch that you can actually count the sides, all right? So you're avoiding that little first stitch there. Even though it is a stitch, it's kind of like starting the chain stitch, yeah? So you're just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and your 14th is there, all right? So you should have 14 along there and 14 along there, all right? So you do the same here and you count your 14 across, all right? So it's 20 there and 20 there and 14 and 14 along the sides. Now, if you have finished your pieces and you are one short or one extra, that's the wrong way around, you are one short or one extra, don't stress, we can work around that. Once again, a very special thank you to the lovely Anne McSee for her colour combination in today's tutorial. And she says as she moves everything out the way, don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all the wonderful things that you guys, well, pretty much always do for me. My name is Mary and this is Wow Crochet Designs. Ciao for now.